Neste corte da entrevista do Michael Saylor no Tucker Carlson Tonight, Michael menciona o colapso inevitável das moedas fiat. Quantos países já se dolarizaram e quais prováveis moedas continuarão a existir no futuro? Saylor diz que o governo americano utilizará a tecnologia da blockchain para enfim criar o criptodólar, para que todos possam ter acesso instantâneo ao mercado financeiro utilizando apenas os seus celulares. Michael menciona como está a regulamentação do Bitcoin no mundo e como os reguladores veem as criptomoedas. Saylor continua dizendo que o Bitcoin não é um problema para a soberania do dólar, mas que irá trabalhar junto para consertar as bases da economia do século XXI. Michael Saylor faz sua previsão de qual será o preço do Bitcoin no futuro e detalha o porquê do preço continuar a subir nos próximos anos e décadas. Michael prevê que o Bitcoin causará a desmonetização de diversos ativos, incluindo o ouro, e como isso será benéfico para a população em geral, que deixará de especular no mercado financeiro e imobiliário e poderá ter uma conta poupança segura para sua aposentadoria. Não deixe de assistir o vídeo completo do nosso canal e, sem mais delongas, fiquem com o vídeo.
So, does it make sense? As long as it's secure and can't be copied, and we had to wait 12 years. 10,000 times people tried to copy it, they all failed. Right? Was it hacked? No. Will it be banned? Well, here's the thing that's happened in the last 12 months, Tucker. The IRS said it's property. It's important for it to be property, not currency. Currency is the provenance of the government, right? Every powerful government will have a currency. Every weak government will have a collapse in currency, and every failed government will lose their currency privileges. Hence, 66 countries dollarize. There's going to be collapse. 100 countries will probably lose their currency privileges. Eventually, you got the CNY, the USD, a few powerful second-level currencies, and then name one currency in Africa that you would rather hold than the dollar. There's just one. Name one currency in South America you'd rather hold than the dollar. There isn't one. Why hasn't the dollar spread to everybody's iPhone and Android phone? They're waiting for the crypto rails, right? At the point that I can download a mobile app, load it up with $87, every other currency in the world starts to collapse into the US dollar, assuming the United States embraces it. So why has the United States embraced it? The United States has embraced it. Why has the Chinese nation been a bit skittish about it? Well, China's got a wall, and behind that wall they have capital controls. They don't want capital to flow freely. A Chinese citizen can't take $1 million out of China. They just can't. Behind that wall, they block Google, they block Facebook, they block Twitter, they block the free flow of capital. That's how they control their system. They print Chinese currency. If there was a free flow of capital, all the current capital would leave China. They'd have a problem. So they've got their system. And in the West, we've got a Western system where we allow Google and Twitter and Facebook. And the Western system is based on the English language, Western values, generally Western law. US dollar, Bitcoin, right? In the last year, the US has embraced Bitcoin. The Chinese have rejected Bitcoin. At this point, you have Jerome Powell saying, this is an asset. It's not a currency. It's an asset. You have Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, saying this is an asset. It's a scarce, speculative asset. They say it's speculative. Of course it's speculative, right? If it wasn't speculative, then $100 trillion would flow into it. It would have grown by a factor of 100 by now. I mean, there has to be some risk. It's a speculative store of value. Christina Lagarde says it's an asset. Even the bankers, when they're criticizing, quote unquote, they say it's not a currency, it's not a medium of exchange. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't need to be a medium of exchange. You don't need it. You don't need to replace the US dollar in the Western world to fix things. What you need to do is give people a savings account. I want to hold 1 month of my salary in dollars. I want to store everything else for the next 10 years or 100 years in an asset which is going up in value. So if you look at what's happened, the administration's in favor of this. This is a broadly bipartisan thing. Cynthia Lummis stood up on the floor of the Senate and said, thank God for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is sound money. It's sound money to the right. It's sound money to the left. Who doesn't want to economically empower everybody on Earth, right? It's good for everybody in the world. There's broad support in the Senate. There's bipartisan support in the Senate and broad support in the House. There's broad support in the administration. People were a bit confused that it might be a currency and it was going to replace the dollar. And if so, then that's an existential problem. But once you take that turn, you say, this is not a problem for the dollar. This is us replacing the foundation of the economy that currently rests on other fiat assets, which are imperfect, inefficient. Right? The first thing that collapses is gold. Gold has been collapsing for a decade. Gold's down 4% in the most inflationary year of our business career. It's down 4%. Bitcoin's up 340%, Tucker.
What's Bitcoin trading at right now?
66,000, 67,000.
Last question. If you had to call it, how high do you think in the next 5 years Bitcoin could get? This is per coin, by the way.
You know, Bitcoin's going up forever because it's a cap supply of 21 million, and it's going to go up because of inflation. Right? We're going to increase the supply of dollars, and Bitcoin's going to be fixed, so in dollars it goes up. It's going to go up because of technical utility. We're going to build it into iPhones and Android phones and put it into every computer and move it at the speed of light and build it into Twitter and Square and PayPal and the like. So that'll cause it to go up. It's going to go up for adoption because of adoption. More and more people are going to bring their money. And it's not like Facebook. It's not like when Rupert Murdoch showed up at Facebook, he didn't bring 1 billion friends. When a billionaire joins a monetary network, they bring $1 billion. So when 100 billionaires show up, they bring hundreds of billions of dollars. When institutional investors show up, they bring massive amounts of capital. So it will keep going up with adoption, utility, and inflation. And eventually, you know, it will replace gold, which is a $10 trillion asset. Bitcoin's like a 1.2. It'll go by a factor of 10. And in 3 to 5 years, it'll certainly replace gold. Then it will replace indexes, right? The S&P index or bond indexes. It'll start to demonetize fixed income and equity indexes that are used as a store of value. Right? Because that's right now, people, they want to save their money for a long period of time. Right. They use that. And gradually, it'll demonetize property. Like, you know, in Canada, they got a housing shortage because foreigners go and they buy the houses, you know, as an investment, and the locals can't afford a house.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Same problem in the U.S.
Yes.
We're monetizing houses. That is to say, if I print infinite money, the price of I go and I buy something tangible with the money before it devalues. The problem is people that are starting their career that need to buy a house can't afford to buy it. So you don't want to monetize something with utility.
Exactly.
You know, you monetize food, everybody starves. You monetize houses, everybody's out on the street.
Right.
So what Bitcoin is doing is it's demonetizing commercial and residential real estate.
So if you were to shut down, if the U.S. government decided no more Bitcoin, I mean, what would happen to residential real estate markets?
Well, I mean, if Bitcoin went away, then the other monetary assets would monetize a bit more. Like,
right.
But Bitcoin is 1 trillion out of 500 trillion and stuff out there, so it's still less than 1%. But you know, gold would get a slight boost. Gold is really being. Why is it gold didn't go up 34%? Gold underperformed the S&P index in a year of political unrest and massive rampant inflation. It's the 1 year in 40 years gold should have gone up in price. Why? Because everyone looking for a non-sovereign store of value grabbed the crypto gold. Right? They occupy the same niche, non-sovereign, sound money, store of value, not related to cash flows, can't be mucked with. But the problem is gold can be corrupted. Gold is corrupted by gold miners and gold brokers and gold dealers. Bitcoin can't be corrupted in that way because you can take possession of your own Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners can't make anymore. So people say Bitcoin is fixing things, right? Fix the money, fix the world. Bitcoin is gradually demonetizing these other assets, and the idea is to return rationality, to make things more rational, right? If people start buying Bitcoin instead of buying a second investment property, the price of property will go down for people that want a first home.
Yes.
That's the idea. If people start buying Bitcoin instead of bonds, the price of bonds will come down, the yield will come up.
Exactly.
And if you want risk-free yield, you'll be able to buy that yield. Used to be $1 million got you a bond that paid you $50,000 a year. Now you need $20 million or $10 million to get a bond that pays $50,000 a year. Your retirement just went from costing you $1 million to costing you $10 million. So Bitcoin is demonetizing some of these other assets. And the stock market, all these meme stocks, these are all symptoms of too much money, right? And the sky-high P to E ratios. So the big picture, the big idea here, Tucker, is the average American, the average wage earner is forced to take their life savings and gamble it in the stock market in order to avoid losing their life savings. My 83-year-old father has to guess which stock is going to go up this week and whether Exxon is better than British Petroleum or better than Apple or not so good as Google in order to not lose his life savings. Because if he puts it into the bank, he gets paid 0.1% interest and it loses 25% of its purchasing power a year. And people aren't stupid. They know that things are going up faster than 2% a year or 4% a year or 5% a year. So we're stampeding an entire generation into either, at best, investing in stocks, or at worst, gambling with meme stocks and gambling with crypto random dog coins, because no one has a savings account they trust. Bitcoin is a bank in cyberspace offering a savings account. You're not gambling on the next product release of Apple versus Google and whether Amazon will get unionized and whether, you know, this pipeline will get approved. And that's not right. And if you put all your money in the S&P index, all the CEOs print more stock and dilute your money. So you don't have to do that. All you're buying is you're buying 1/21 millionth of the monetary energy in the network forever. The product of Bitcoin is just, you're going to buy a bit of money and hold it forever, and that's the product. And it's a very simple product, should last for 10,000 years.
You sold me. I'm taking all my pallets of 7.62 ammo and converting them. That was the single most interesting explanation of economics I've heard maybe ever.